Like most people today, I probably spend a little too much time online. The online world is a vast place full of so many opportunities and people. You can build communities, learn about so many things and endless topics. You can feel so inspired. You don't even need to leave your house to meet other like-minded people. And it's truly such a wonderful invention. There's a lot of horrible things online, of course, as we witness the horrors beyond our comprehension, but I don't want to talk about those today. I want to talk about the foundational changes I've experienced being an artist online for the past 2 decades and the things that I have learned along the way from the internet. So hello everybody, I am Soren, your local cat girl artist. I've been sharing my art online since around 2008 when I was hustling on Gaia Online trying to get Gaia Gold when it was actually worth something, and now I'm trying to hustle people online to buy my prints and support me on Patreon. While not much has changed in my objectives and my artistic pursuits, I have fundamentally changed as a person from the things I've learned over these many, many years. While I was never a hugely successful artist online, I want to impart some of my own wisdom and share these 5 important lessons I've learned being a digital artist in online spaces. So let's get started. Number 1, the fundamentals are literally everything. This is one you've all probably heard dozens and dozens of times, but please hear me out. As a little baby artist, I would sit around and be like, bah, I don't really need to study, I just need to draw more. I'll get better over time. Which isn't particularly wrong, but sometimes you just want to see results fast. And doing what I did for a really long time didn't really bring me the results I wanted. And in turn, I wasted a lot of time in hindsight messing around and just stubbornly trying to cover up my mistakes with pretty rendering and pretending that my foundation was better than it was. Like, you'll never know that I can't attach this arm to the torso if you're too in awe at my ability to render it well. And I get it. You want to get to the point where you can legitimately put your art up somewhere, like maybe on your fridge, and your parents, your siblings, your friends, random strangers who enter your house look at it and go, "Oh wow, you did that?" And not just look at it and go, "That looks nice, sweetie." While quickly moving along the conversation. You want the prestige, you want the honor of making something you put your time and effort and soul into being accepted and cherished by the people who see it. You want your efforts validated. You want those numbers to go up because that means you're doing something right. And you want that right now. There is no time to study because if I don't remain consistent, then everything I've worked so hard to build up for will be for nothing. Studying takes time. Your masterpiece, however, could be the very next one you make. So why waste time studying or practicing when you just need to channel the spirit of Michelangelo himself to create your own Sistine Chapel on your digital canvas? Studying is boring. Why do I need to draw 1 bazillion boxes before I can draw a figure? This feels like gatekeeping. I'm just going to draw and prove I've got the chops. They're innate. I just need to get there. And I used to be like this. I thought I just needed to figure something out, and through creating a large amount of work or trying really, really hard, I would get to where I wanted to be. I was making everything 100% more difficult for myself. I didn't know anatomy, but I kind of knew the shape of a person. I didn't really know facial proportions well, but those videos talk about like 20 different measurements for a face, and it's so many guidelines. Like, it's an eye. Just let me draw an eye. I see faces every day. Why do I need to know 20 different measurements? This isn't fun anymore. Like, come on. But sometimes when you're struggling on something, returning to the fundamentals and these very basic building blocks of an image, it can solve so many problems you're having with your work. Sometimes I do fall into the pitfall of thinking I can just draw this idea and I'll get ahead of myself, and that's when I start struggling. But I take a deep breath and go, it's time to draw some boxes and get this correct. And when I finally relent and do the prep work, it ends up looking better. Your fundamentals are your foundation, and if your foundation is wonky, your art will unfortunately be wonky too. It's just unfortunately how it works out. 2. Plan things out. This might not be applicable to everyone, depending on what you want to do, but for me, this one was huge. I really admired very large illustrated pieces, but I always struggled on making intricate and well thought out pieces. But I was tackling it from the perspective that others just kind of had some vision in their mind and they could take what was in their head and put it down with organized thoughts and construction without struggling to shape it to their will. It gave me the impression that my skills just weren't there yet, and honestly, they probably weren't. But then I would get frustrated and annoyed because I thought the ideas that I had in my head were wonderful, but once they were down on paper, it just wasn't close and I was totally off base. One day, I was listening to an episode of the Draftsman's podcast. I don't remember which one, but Stan Prokopenko talked about how he would go and do a bunch of different versions of a piece before actually making it. Like he would do a sketch and a gesture, an anatomy study, or a value or color study before committing to actually making the actual piece. He spoke about eliminating all of the problems of the piece before even starting it, so the creation process was as stress-free as possible. This felt super obvious in hindsight. Like, why didn't I just do that before? It felt like a fundamental piece of advice. It changed everything. I could just plan things out. That's probably how the other artists did it. They might have just planned it out. Perhaps I was fundamentally wrong about the process the whole time. Well, I don't always do my due diligence depending on the piece. I now make sure to collect references and put them in my Milanote boards. I'm not sponsored. I just really like Milanote. I collect images, references, color anatomy references, and clothing references. I'll typically write some specifics, like if I want a specific type of mood or lighting, or if the piece was inspired by a song or a piece of media or a joke amongst friends. I find it helps me always remember my original intent and purpose for making this instead of just embracing the whimsy and making things just because I thought the idea was cool. That is just as valid, but sometimes I want things to be a bit more impactful visually or narratively, so I need a little bit more help from myself. I haven't really graduated to the dedication that Stan articulated in that episode of the podcast. Like, I should do anatomy studies or gestures before going into it, and it would definitely be beneficial. Right now, I usually whip out my sketchbook and hash out a few ideas and variations for poses before I even start, and I'll transfer it digitally to test out some values and lighting scenarios. I should do more devoted studies beforehand, though. I just need to get my discipline on point. By thinking through my pieces, I was able to develop them better and to a level of intricacy that I couldn't do before. I still need to work on doing this a little bit more, but the more I spend prepping an idea, the better and quicker the final result comes out. However, I still regularly find myself sketching and running with the initial idea because I do enjoy just making things based on vibes. I don't always need to put 100% into everything. I am here to just have fun sometimes. 3. Have goals. My gosh. I had a friend many years ago tell me that I needed to have goals for my art, and at the time, I kind of had no direction. Like, all I wanted to do was draw pretty little pictures of my OCs and characters I liked and share that with people and get those good feeling internet points. But the thought always kind of lingered in my mind. What were even my goals specifically? What do I even want to do with my art? This became a really difficult question to answer over the years. I was trying to do a little bit of everything, but ultimately spreading myself out too thin and just doing things in avoidance to prevent myself from locking into a specific thing. Having a goal is important because everything is going to get filtered into that goal. What kind of art do you even want to make? Where do you want to go with that work? If you want to be a food artist, then nothing anyone says about drawing clothing is going to be relevant to your goals. If you want to paint portraits, but people are giving you advice on how to do sprite art like it's going to help you, then it's not really applicable. This kind of holds true for so many things. Like if you're drawing, say, a romance comic, but then someone says it's boring because there's no action scenes, perhaps they're just reading a genre not for them and it isn't actually a reflection of the story you're trying to tell. Knowing where you want to go means you can be open to criticism from people who are generally on the same path as you or understand it, and you can ignore the ramblings of the madman asking why you're not painting their waifu with bigger boobs for their tastes. I didn't really have goals, so I would ask people for feedback and just get random, essentially unusable feedback. Not to mention the amount of people who weren't experienced enough to really give me anything beneficial beyond, I think this part looks a little off. It drove me insane. It took me forever to finally realize what my goals were, and sometimes those aren't clear until you do a ton of exploring and going from place to place and travel down like 10 different paths, and you come back to your original destination and go, this isn't really working. What can I do to make this work and make myself happy? For me to figure this out, I had to step back a little and reevaluate things, and I came to the conclusion that I wanted to work on narrative work, comics and illustrations that were my own for the most part. I didn't want to be a fan artist anymore. As much as I loved Final Fantasy XIV or other games I played that I really loved, I didn't want that to be the only thing associated with my work, like fan art. I wanted to create my own story, I wanted to create my own worlds and share those too. Which then made me realize that, yeah, I will work on my own comic again. Yeah, I will make illustrations that are incredibly self-indulgent. And even if the likes and attention online dwindle, I'm more happier making this stuff in general. Conveniently, I've actually had more success working towards a goal I'm passionate about than ever before. It feels like I'm making art that I genuinely want to make, and it is a feeling of freedom to just go with what I want instead of what I think others might want instead. Maybe in a few years this won't be what you or I want to do, and that's fine. Your ideas and goals will shift, so just keep an open mind. It's okay to change your mind and change directions. Have goals, but don't let them define you 100%, especially if things aren't working the way you want them to. It is okay. Number 4, your worth is not dictated by your likes or your follower count. Now, isn't this a fun one? I want everyone to just sit back and take a deep breath. We're all looking at our follower count on whatever social medias we're on and going, I only have this many. Maybe when I get to that many, I'll feel better about my work. Or I only got 5 likes this time. I guess I'm a failure of an artist. It is really, really hard to get out of this mindset and convince yourself that you have worth when we're constantly bombarded by the importance of our engagement statistics and having growth online. And yeah, getting ignored online absolutely sucks, and it doesn't feel good. It's like talking in a group of friends and saying something and no one acknowledges it, and you just revert back into your shell and go, okay, I'm not going to talk anymore. It's like you're not special and you're never going to stand out. I'm probably the 100th person you've seen say this, but it is absolutely true, so it's worth it being repeated. Your worth as a person, as an artist, is not determined by the likes you get online. Some people might convince you otherwise. I am here to tell you that it is not true. You as a person are more than an artist. You probably have hobbies outside of the artwork that you make. Maybe you like some kind of sport. Maybe you like other creative endeavors like music or writing. Or maybe you just like playing video games and watching movies. You're someone's child, and hopefully that's a positive thing in your life. You might be a sibling, or you might even be a parent yourself. You're someone's friend, or multiple people's friends. You might be someone's colleague or their boss. Perhaps you're a pet owner. Maybe you have a collection you're really proud of. Maybe you're a student. These are all potential facets of you as a person, and these don't even scratch the surface of what you could define yourself as. Getting 0 likes on an art piece you're really proud of is going to feel terrible. But this doesn't make you a failure, and it doesn't even make you a lesser person or artist. There are so many factors at play online, on social media specifically, to getting noticed that sometimes your artwork isn't even the factor in how it is seen. There's endless algorithms demanding absurd levels of engagement from creators. There's tagging systems that are fickle. Some want you to post fewer tags but more targeted. Some are fine with lots of tags. Some will dock you points for having your artwork just scrolled or swiped past if it shows up on the wrong person's screen. There's optimal days of the week for posting. There's optimal times of the day for posting. Sometimes some event is happening where the audience you have is occupied with something else massive. There's aspects of drawing fan art or not and appealing to a general audience or a niche one. There's consistency and predictability. There's making reels and shorts and videos to gain traction. There's automatic cropping on some sites, which might make your artwork look terrible. And lastly, there's thousands, if not millions of people trying to do the exact same thing as you, prove their worth by trying to claw through the noise online to get another drop in the bucket of likes and follows on any given platform. Your artwork is still valid, even if it gets 0 likes. You're still an artist, even if you have 0 followers. You're still amazing for putting yourself out there, even if you can't sell a commission. If you find yourself ripping yourself apart because of the numbers on social media, I hope one day you can realize that you're awesome in your own way for existing in such a subjective space as art and sticking to it despite the odds. It's rough out here for everyone, and we're all just trying. I struggled with this kind of thing a lot, especially when I was young. On DeviantArt, I felt like everything I made needed to do better than the last. And if I couldn't do that, then I would rip into myself, telling myself that I was a failure, or I would rip into my own artwork and self-worth because a new piece didn't get the same amount of likes or follows. I had convinced myself I had peaked at 14 and it was downhill from there. It wasn't a healthy thing to do, and it inadvertently caused me a lot of anxiety and other problems, like being afraid of rejection or thinking less of my own artwork. Now, these are problems I have to deal with into my adulthood. I was in a rush to see those numbers go up. I never really took the time to think about things. I only hurt myself in the process, and it took me a really, really long time to see how bad it was for me, especially in the long run when you adopt these kind of mentalities years and years down the line and just push them further down. It will cause you problems. So just try and be kind to yourself. Treat yourself like a friend. Number 5, I am delusional and I have no idea what I'm talking about. This is my absolute favorite one, to be so honest with you. I, like everyone around me, have convinced myself of some truths about reality that I use to funnel all of my viewpoints through. This allows me the positive experience that is my viewpoints and beliefs that are unique to me. However, it gives me the ability to be viewed by others and deemed as wrong, inexperienced, and misinformed. But still, I have convinced myself and have built up the confidence to say it out loud for the world to hear. I am not the most educated person. I just have a high school diploma, and I'm not actually formally trained in anything of any kind. I struggle with math. I like things that are typically niche. I don't watch movies. I don't know why that's important. My reality can be 100% different from someone else's, to the point where we don't even match on an art wavelength, and it's quite interesting. The things I say, how I present myself, and how I create my art and the ideas I come up with are all going to be unique to me. But whenever I open my mouth to speak something that feels like an intrinsic truth in my perspective, I just sit here screaming like, oh my God, am I wrong? Am I just spreading misinformation? Am I going to get my ass roasted and toasted because I wrote this sentence? Perhaps I'll look back at my work and be like, wow, I was spitting, or curl up in a ball and cry about how misguided I was, but I guess that's life. So in short, I don't actually know if anything I'm saying is true or helpful, but it's things that I believe and I think were interesting. And this video is a culmination on things that I've experienced in my life and things that have helped shape my present day life. So I hope it was somewhat entertaining, if anything. Anyways, I hope this was insightful to some, maybe somewhat educational. I wrote a whole list down of important lessons I had learned, and these 5 seemed like a really good set to make a video on. So let me know if you learned anything, or if you have any important lessons that you've learned through your time being an artist online, even maybe an artist in real life if you're one of those. I'd love to hear what was important to you. And if you'd like to share even more, I encourage you to join the Discord and talk about them in more depth with me and the others in there. There is a link in the description below. But that is all from me. I hope to see you in the next video. Happy creating. For those who stayed to the end, here's a 6 bonus tip. Have fun. Like seriously, just have fun. It's more fun that way. Let's just have some fun.